I am now live. This is exciting. Oh my gosh. Hi, everybody. I can't even believe I'm on time. Actually, I can't believe I'm on time. Hi, Kinson Alley. Hi, Mojo Chatty. Hi, everybody. Deep Dimples, Coco 31. Talaji. I'm glad I wore my glasses today. Hey, Rachella. Hi, guys. Others send a request to be in your live video. I'm waiting. Zachary Levi is going to be my first guest, so I told him not to call in until like 4:06. Hi, Mikey Russo in Sally Cologne. Mikey Russo was my amazing wedding planner. If you guys need a wedding planner, Mikey Russo is the one to call. Even though my marriage didn't last, he did an amazing job on my marriage. Hi, Mrs. Ronnalee. Jeffrey's in the back. He's with the dogs. He's babysitting the dogs because I said if these dogs bark while I'm doing my live, somebody's getting put out. So he's watching the dogs. Hi, DSVET, Rachel, best friend in the head. Hi, Robin Mason. I'm so glad you guys are here for my very Sherri conversation. This is really, I usually do my lives with one of my best friends, Kim Whitley, but this is something that I just want to do because I just got friends, that I've been friends with and people that I love and admire. And I said, I just want to, we're all just like isolated for this season. And, I just wanted to do something different to give you guys something, a little bit of entertainment and a little peek into some people's lives. And one of the first people that I called was Zach Levi. And Zachary and I have known each other for years, like decades, because we were on a show called Less Than Perfect together. And I love him so much. And hi, Miss Speck. I didn't get your whole name. Designed by Sweet Caramel 6986. Hello. All right, can you sing us a song? I would, but I was voted off of the Masked Singer in the second week. How about that? So I won't even bore you with my singing, but I'm over here in my kitchen. I know everybody said, Sherri, this is all my kitchen. I don't have a studio. Like, I don't have a big mansion where I have a studio. I got a kitchen, a little family room, and me and Jeffrey's bedrooms. Hi, Sally Cologne, one of my bestest friends. Aloha. Mahalo. Is that what it is? Mahalo. I was in Hawaii with Gabriel Iglesias. So you should have been on longer I'm not sure on longer on what. How is there the karaoke? I'm actually going to tell you, I wanted to karaoke with Zach. We were going to do a duet for you guys, the karaoke, but it's like a delay with the karaoke. So we couldn't do it together, but at some point we're going to get together. I love you too, Sally. Thank you. Hi, Joel Sads. Where's your wife at? Hi, Joel and Jennifer. Thank you. I got this little light up here. I put on the wig and everything. Zachary Levi called me before I started because I needed to see his face and talk to him. And I was right in the middle of putting on my makeup and I didn't have a wig on. And he was just like, hey. See, that's what I'm saying. Fellas, stop FaceTiming women. Don't FaceTime us. Just call on the telephone because you're going to see some stuff that you don't want to see. So when Zachary called me, I think he thought he misdialed and called Ludacris, the rapper. And I was like, well, that's what you get. Now you seeing my half contoured nose and all kinds of makeup and stuff. But, he just stop FaceTiming. Let me see. Mrs. Duchess 48. Hello from Houston, Texas. Hi, everybody. Zach Levi will be calling me probably in about 3 minutes. I told him not to call yet because I wanted to talk to you. I got all of these beautiful pictures on my computer of Zachary Levi. I don't know if you guys can see. That's my friend. That's Zach. And he is... I paused it accidentally. Sorry, guys. Zach is, he's got like, I printed out his whole bio. It's so long. That's the thing when you've been working in the industry so long. But before Zach comes on, and I'll read you a couple things. I'm just excited. Jeffrey, I have been cooking for him. One of the things I don't know how to do is I don't know how to cook. And so here's what I'm going through now. So I'm learning how to cook for Jeffrey because I'm a Postmates girl. I'm always traveling. I get on Postmates. And Jeffrey came and he's like, because he's doing online schooling, he's here all the time. I'm constantly buying groceries. And he comes in this morning. He was like, Mom, I need a snack. And this was me. He was like, Mom, I need a snack. And I was like, a snack? we don't do snacks in here. Like, I don't, what is a snack? And I said, I just fed you 4 hours ago for breakfast. Then he came in and he was like, can I have some lunch? And I'm like, lunch? What is lunch? So I'm scrambling around looking for stuff to throw together for lunch. And then he comes in and he just came and he was like, can I have a snack? What is with the snacking thing? And I asked my son, I said, do you know about intermittent fasting? Because that's what are you about to do. So I'm going to teach my son about some intermittent fasting. Because this cooking thing, y'all pray for me because I'm trying to like learn how to cook and cook for my son. But this is just an exercise in futility. But I read somewhere that in order to like be in a relationship, you're going to attract what you are. And that is what I'm hoping to attract, a man who likes Postmates. Because I'm a Postmates girl. I would love a Postmates man. Because goodness knows, if I get into a relationship with a man and I got to do all the cooking, hi, Mrs. Duchess, we going to have a problem. Who do you want to work with in the future? Oh my gosh, so many people. I'd love to work with Chadwick Boseman. I would love to work with, who was Idris Elba? I would love to work with him. So many. Octavia Spencer. Hi from Jacksonville, Florida. Hey everybody. Wait, because I'm going to have Zachary Levi is going to be calling, and I wanted to read you guys a couple highlights. Let me see. Zachary Levi was named one of Entertainment Weekly's top 30 people under 30. He also was in Alvin and the Chipmunks. Buddy TV ranked him number 97 on the list of TV's sexiest men of 2011. What? I got to find it because let me see. Hold on. I want to make sure. That's only when FaceTiming black women. Oh, are you talking about when men FaceTime women? My thing is not moving. All these little questions. Let me see. Wait a minute. Hold on, because I want to make sure I'm not missing Zach Levi. Sally Cologne, the Jag. Ooh, it's a lot of y'all. Good grief. Woo! I got to get Zach Levi in here. Okay, now, there we go. Your husband taught you how to cook, and you learned something Texas. Hi, M.M. Williams. Hi, from upstate New York. Let me see if Zachary Levi is on this one. There's Zachary Levi. Okay, he will be coming in. Let's see. Oops, I did it wrong. Let me go back and There is Zach Levi at. There we go. I knew it was gonna work. This is what happens when you don't get a manicure and your nails are too long.
You got it.
Zachary Levi.
Oh, I did it wrong. Oh, my nails too long.
I was telling everybody that you FaceTime me and I accidentally answered the phone, which I will never do again.
Accidentally answer the phone?
Yeah, because I wasn't
without your face on. Who you try to kid?
Well, I know you know what I look like without my face on, but I didn't want you to see me looking like Ludacris.
Girl, you look great. You're fine. You're fine.
That's a man. That's a man for you. Girl, you look great. I can see because you're smiling too hard.
How you doing? As if I didn't just talk to you about an hour ago.
I know. It was an hour ago that we just talked because I needed to see you. I had to see your face. I just wanted to see your
Yeah,
look.
It's been a minute since we've gotten to see each other. I actually can't remember the last time we saw each other.
It was
one of the times I went with you.
Retta's birthday party.
Remember? Oh, Retta's birthday party. That's right.
Retta from, what is the show that Retta is on? The Good Behavior. And
The Good Girls?
Good Girls. I knew it was something good. The behavior of Good Girls.
Who was on Parks and Rec? Everybody knows. From Parks and Rec. Yourself.
That's right. She's a stand-up comic, and she had a birthday party, and you came because you had a little bit of a cold. But you sat on the floor and you talked to me and Yvette Nicole Brown like all night. You were so sweet. And then you know what else? When you were about to film Shazam, we kept going back and forth with our Marco Polos because I was in Nashville shooting a movie. Or I was in Canada. I was in Canada.
Yeah. I
shooting my TV show. And you were about to start Shazam. And we kept Marco Poloing back and forth.
Yeah, we did. We 100% did that. Marco, I'm still so shocked that the phone companies haven't been able to just add, like, why can't you just leave somebody a phone or like a video message through the regular phone app? Like, why do we have to use a whole other app to do that? I don't understand.
I don't know. But you know what I don't like about the Marco Polo? I don't like it when people call me and then they give me their whole rundown of their day.
Oh, yeah.
I like them quick.
You got to hit 2 times speed on that shit. You got to be like, blip,
Oh,
You could do that,
do that.
You could do it too.
I didn't even know how to do. I just sat through the
Yeah,
whole
you could double time that speed, so you hear everything, but they kind of talk like really fast. And so my wife and I would have to. It's really interesting, but you could track it.
Is that it? But sometimes you tend to, when you're on Marco Polo, like if I was talking to you, I'd be like, so anyway, Zach, I just I don't feel like getting off the phone. I just want to let you know. Yeah, and you tend to do that. So I hope you didn't double speed me.
I double speed everybody. I double speed everybody. I would double speed myself, honestly. I am so long-winded, so tangential and verbose. It's the worst combination. It's the best combination, but it's
stop using all them big words.
Yeah. Okay.
You got one big word per paragraph. I heard verbose.
I use too many words and I go off on tangents. There you go.
Always you have done that. I just was telling people, I was starting to read your bio. It's long, which is like amazing. What a blessing, because you have been working steadily. I worked with you on when we worked together on Less Than Perfect, and that was with Andy Dick, Will Sasso, Eric Roberts, Andrea Parker, Sarah Rue,
Patrick Warburton.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was a cast of thousands.
It was and we worked together for 4 seasons on Less Than Perfect, and that was your second gig, like out of high school almost.
Oh, it wasn't. It was my first gig.
But it was like, this was a TV show.
I had done 2 other multi-camera pilots that had never gotten picked up. Still the 2 previous pilot seasons. So 1999, I started auditioning pretty much right out of high school, pretty much. There was a little bit of a lap there, but I was doing theater up in Ojai, California, and living in Ventura, California. So I started commuting for like 3 years, and I booked a pilot the first season. That didn't get picked up. Then I didn't work for a year. Then I booked a second pilot. That didn't get picked up. Then I almost didn't work for another year, and then I did this cable movie for FX called Confessions of a Campus Bookie. Big Shot, Confessions of a Campus Bookie.
Was that like, what channel? Was that on the porn channel? Because that's what it sounds
No,
like.
It was on FX.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm just saying it sounds nasty.
What damn, girl? What porn channel do you want? I don't even. Okay, that's fine.
I'm just saying.
You and Jesus. That's between you and Jesus.
It's between me and Jesus. He knows my heart.
Yeah, he does. He knows all of our hearts. That's the beautiful thing about it. He created them all.
And that's what I want to say. When we worked on Less Than Perfect, it was like nobody knew each other. And you and I had just met. And I remember you walked in my room because you were so sweet. And you walked in my room. I don't know if you remember this. And you go, "Are you and I go, "Are you and we said Christian at the same time." And like after that,
I believe it. Yeah.
We bonded. And you had so much energy. What I loved about you, Zach, is even when we did a sitcom and it was in front of an audience, a studio audience. Yeah. So every time they would announce, they would bring out the characters, Andy Dick and Sarah Rue. And whenever they said Zachary Levi, all of the girls went crazy. And you would come running out and you would jump into the audience. Do you remember that? Yes, you did. You didn't know, baby.
You're literally making up better versions of the
because I remember you would come running out.
No, I never.
Don't you
never. I would interact with them all the time though. I wouldn't go. I would come out and I would do a bow or a silly deal or whatever. I'd do my wave, and maybe if I had like some friends or family that were right there when we came out, I might give them a high five. But I would go and screw around with the audience all during the show. I even got asked not to anymore. You remember that?
Yeah, you were asked not to because people said you was in their little light.
Yeah.
But you had your energy, and don't tell me you didn't jump into the audience because I saw you. You getting old, your memory.
No, you
came running out and jumped on the rail, and that's
listen,
I remember.
People,
I was standing there,
Sherri,
and I was like, "That boy."
Listen, people. Sherri she's lost her mind. This never happens.
You lost your daggone mind. That's what it is. You've been working so much. And we have been friends since then. You knew me when I was pregnant with Jeffrey, and
how old is Jeffrey now?
Jeffrey is 14, and he talks like this. Hi, Zach. And right now, you know where he is right now?
Where?
He's in the bathroom. He's been in the bathroom for 13 minutes.
Okay, well, you know what? Sometimes dudes just need some time. Just
for what? No, don't even answer that.
You don't need to discuss that.
I'm a single mother with the boys. Zach.
You got Jeffrey. Have Jeffrey time.
Well, what am I supposed to do when I need him to go get his laundry out the dryer so I can put my stuff in there? He don't let me.
I don't know when Sherri needs Sherri time. Are you grateful when he's not asking you to be doing things?
When Sherri needs Sherri time, Sherri makes sure everybody sleep, so nobody bothers Sherri.
Well, you're not
Because
a
sometimes things make sound.
You're not a pubescent teenage
I told you about
boy.
these big words. You better stop with the words. I'm just saying, you used to be a teenager.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When I
know exactly what he's doing in there. He's playing video games.
Now, right there, Uncle Zachary. Okay.
Saying.
But I have to say, we have stayed friends through this whole time because I've always loved you. Your heart is so amazing, and a lot of times we can go spans of time and we don't talk.
Oh,
but when we come together, it's still like it was yesterday.
I feel like that's like one of the hallmarks of all of my favorite friendships. Honestly, certainly some of the most authentic and deep and what's the word? Demanding. You know, like there's friends in your life that are very demanding friends. They need a lot of you. They need a lot of your time. And we know that particularly in our line of work and life, there's not a lot of time to begin with sometimes, you know, depending on the show that you're working on or whatever your schedule is. I mean, I can't even imagine like when you were particularly doing The View, like on Less Than Perfect, it was a pretty cush job. Like doing a multi-camera comedy is pretty cush.
Yeah, because the multi-cam, you come in at 9 o'clock. We work from 9 till 3. The longest day is our shoot day.
Yeah,
we work till 9 at night.
Exactly. And then we go have drinks at Firefly afterwards. And, you know, life was a dream. Life was a dream. But, you know, certainly when I was working on Chuck, which is a, you know, single camera dramedy show for 5 years. Yeah. I mean, I was like, I never had a life. I can't even imagine on The View when you're doing a daily every morning early news show in New York.
No.
Like, was that day gnarly?
Don't get me wrong, Zach. That was a very cushy job. I got to work between Barbara Walters and Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh, sure. I'm not saying there weren't perks. I'm just saying the schedule.
No, the schedule wasn't like a single camera because I came in at 8 in the morning. We did our hot topics. The hardest thing was sitting at the table and there was no net. So, you know, when you do TV, you can say cut and redo it. We had to talk off of the top of our heads. And many times I got in trouble because I didn't articulate what I wanted to say correctly and I couldn't go back and fix it. So that probably was the most stress. But single camera, when you did Chuck, I was so proud of you. Because you were the lead. You played like the super nerd. And you had these, and you were this, oh yeah, because you are so not a, you are a nerd.
Of course I am. I've always been a nerd. I had multiple Xboxes in my dressing room at Less Than Perfect.
I know you have always been a gamer. From like, I do agree. I take that back. You are such a nerd. You just a cute nerd. That's what you are.
Hi.
But you'd be on Chuck and doing a single camera show, which is not in front of an audience. And because you were in every scene. It's like what, 17 hours a day?
I mean, we definitely had. There were 17-hour days. We would work. We worked a few 18-hour days along the years, but no, I mean the first couple of seasons were the most intense on that. Then as we found a bit more of a groove, I think we were getting down to like 14-hour days. If we had a 12-hour day, it was like winning the lottery. Everyone was like, "What is happening?
12-hour day?
Go buy a ticket!" Like, you know, it was that kind of a deal. But also, like, I don't know, like I knew what I was getting myself into to some level, on some extent, you know, like I've always tried to, even in the midst of finding certain things in our industry, let's say, difficult to navigate or to, you know, not be destroyed by sometimes, you know, whether it's schedule or social media now, or all of the things that can really nail you. You try to just be grateful for exactly what it is that you have in that moment. You know, I definitely have plenty of things I wish, you know, could have been different about how we ended up having to make Chuck, and with no time and no budget and all of those things. But I certainly wasn't going to be like, I can't believe I have to work all these hours. It's like, what do you mean you can't believe? Like, how many friends have you had go before you be on an hour-long show and them all talking about like, dang, these hours are crazy. Like, you can't get yourself into a job and then be like, what? This is, you know, it's like being,
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay.
It came to me because you know how I'm like all over the place. You always have been one that has been grateful. You always talk about how grateful you are for these blessings and the little things. And I can even hearing it now, because so many people are isolated. How were you handling that? And with the mindset of being grateful. How are you handling just being quarantined?
I mean, well, I've shared a lot of my current story on my Instagram as well. So I might be a little redundant to some of the people that are
Okay, you be
watching right now. Yeah. Oh, no, of course. But I'm super, again, grateful because I happen to be sitting in a very unique position writing out this quarantine. A few years ago, felt very compelled to buy land and a lot of it outside of Austin, Texas. And I already pre-virus had multiple people who were living and working on property, helping me to build out this crazy vision of mine, which is like a movie studio that you could live and work at full time and all that jazz. It's a whole nother conversation. But the point is that I already had like half a dozen people here. And so now, and we barely left the ranch to begin with. So life hasn't changed a tremendous amount for us, other than, of course, us, having very deep empathy and trying to have as much understanding as we can for everyone else in the world and what's going on, and trying to be as useful and productive as we can to help friends and family, to try and benefit a lot of nonprofits that are going on right now. But from a personal standpoint, like, I'm surrounded by really groovy folks, and we're very well taken care of. God's blessed me tremendously to be able to have the ability to even do this, and I have room around me. I mean, this is my
Is that all your land?
Yeah, it's all, yeah. It's beautiful, and God, it was such an incredible gift, and something that at one point I thought I made a horrible mistake a few years ago, and I went to very intensive therapy to save my life. And coming on the other side of it, it's been an incredible revelation to know that not only did I not make the wrong decision to come and move out here, but now it's paying insane dividends that I never would have even fathomed, for a viral pandemic. So this is all very strange, but I'm trying to just, again, be grateful for what I have when I have it, and trying to make it as potently helpful for as many people as I can as well. Like, if friends and family need to bug out and hunker it down here because we're being quarantined for months and months and months, like, who knows what's going to happen in all this. But so from
Wait, are you taking guests? Is that what Jeffrey? Or did you say you taking like a mother and her child?
Eventually there may be a bed here for you. You never know.
Yeah, eventually. This is a question that somebody might have, because you left LA. Most people would say, don't leave LA because this is where the work is. You'll never work. You're in the height. I mean, you just finished Shazam. By the way, will there be a Shazam 2?
There will be a Shazam 2 as soon as we're on the other side of all of this, quarantine and everything. But also, I moved out here before Shazam. I moved out here. Yeah.
You came out before,
six months before I booked that job
And then Shazam exploded and did so well. So a lot of people would say, why aren't you staying where the work is? Why would you leave? How did you even know that you were supposed to be where you are right now?
Well, I don't know the way that any of us feels like we know anything, I suppose, which is your gut and your conscience and your intuition and your spirits and all of those things, or maybe those are all the same thing too. I don't presume to know how the intricacies of the mystery of the cosmos and God and all of that really, to me, it's might as well be the Force in Star Wars. It's that kind of stuff. But, I think that I've tried to, over my 40 years of life, be as connected to what I believe to be God and the author of all this is as best I can, and try to be humble to that idea and energy and spirit, and try to make decisions that are good for me, good for my family, good for what I hope will be good for society and the world at large. And so first of all, not first of all, but to answer one of the things that you said, that, the work's not really in LA anymore. So that was part of what was my deciding factor, right? So I was so grateful that I lived and worked in LA for 10 straight years. I did Less Than Perfect for 4. I had a little downtime between Less Than Perfect and Chuck, and I did Chuck for 5. So that was that's a rare thing, with so many people getting, working on shows in Vancouver or Toronto or wherever you're going.
Yeah, I was in Canada.
Once upon a time, Hollywood was a really beautifully centralized deal where you could live full time, you could put down roots, you knew your neighbors, and your neighbors were crew, and like all that kind of stuff. And then eventually a lot of our work jobs started getting outsourced to a lot of other places. And I mean, we always shot on locations for various movies, but for the most part, Hollywood was in LA. And that was for a lot of reasons, namely the weather. You could shoot almost year round and without any kind of breakups. But anyway, so first 10 years are great. Then all of a sudden in the second kind of 10 years of my career, I was now working elsewhere all the time. I wasn't working in LA. I mean, almost ever, really. I was working in Toronto multiple times, or Vancouver, or London, or Birmingham, Alabama, or various places. And so it dawned on me that I was paying a mortgage on a home in LA that I was never in, and therefore I was also paying California taxes.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, this doesn't make any sense, particularly since I've always wanted to, since I was a kid, always had dreams of living in a cul-de-sac with all of my best friends and family, which I think a lot of at least anyone who understands what the cul-de-sac is understands that. But essentially it's just living in the same neighborhood with all the people that are dearest to you.
Together.
Yeah, and that's a very tribal communal thing. It's been literally evolutionarily, it's been rooted in us. God put it in us from the beginning. We're supposed to be together. We're supposed to be communal. And we have been slowly but surely losing that as a people for, quite a few many years now. And technology has been a part of that, but it's not the only root of that. I think technology is a beautiful thing so long as we respect its power and we guide it and it's not guiding us.
Speaking of technology, how are you with social media? Do you feel like you have to kind of take a break from social media at times? Because sometimes it can take you over.
Yeah. I mean, it can take me over. I definitely spend too much time on social media. I think that anyone in our position, meaning someone of celebrity or fame or influence or whatever that is, right? Like all of a sudden that's very much a part of how you make a living. So you can't not, unfortunately, be somewhat wrapped up in it, keeping tabs, replying, seeing replies, all, I try to tend to all of my DMs because I don't know if there's somebody might be sending me like a really important message and I don't want to miss it because what?
Who DMing you? Who is DMing you?
All kinds of people. A lot of people DM me for mental health advice, which I want to be able to answer for as many people as I can. But that's something that I've had to actually take a step back from because I know that I'm not everyone's savior and I can't there's not enough energy and time in me to go through and be everyone's counselor online. But what I try to do is use social media as best I can and as often as I can to encourage people in all of those things, right? So while I can't answer everybody's DMs about their mental health journey, I can do these things. We can have Instagram lives and we can go take everyone through that journey and try to answer as many people as possible. But that's a lot of the types of messages and stuff. And also just like friends and family. Like I'm not on Facebook anymore. So the only way that a lot of like old friends from high school ever can get a hold of me is maybe through a DM on Instagram. So I just try to stay on top of that stuff. But it's also addictive. It's built to be addictive. I mean, look at us. Look at the hearts and look at the things and look at the likes and look at all
this is a folks. I'm going to get back to Zach's career, but he said something about mental health, which I wanted to ask you about. And you had posted at length about mental health. And, can you go into that a little bit more and what you've been dealing with and how?
Oh, yeah, happy to. Again, I've talked about this a lot, so forgive me for being redundant, anybody who's watching. But so, I mean, the long and the short of it, and I will try to truncate it as best I can. But, actually, Sherri, you have a very unique position or vantage point in this story because you actually knew my mom. You had met my mom.
I did.
And most of what I have dealt with and struggled with in my life, as I've come to find out through extensive therapy that was not just life-changing, but quite literally life-saving therapy, is I had a mother who was psychologically abused.
Yes.
That affected her ability to see herself clearly, see the world clearly, and see how she fit into the world clearly. It was not ultimately my mom's fault that she was as abusive as she became. My mother was a product of her environment. Her mother was a product of her environment in some way, shape, or form, as we all are. I believe that this is what Scripture talks about as sins of the father. This is literally what it's talking about. Generational trauma that's existed since the beginning of time, and it keeps getting handed down. And we wonder why genetically? Is it nature? Is it nurture? It's a little bit of both. We become alcoholics because our parents were alcoholics. And even though we hated whatever they were doing, we are emulating what they did because subconsciously how we think we need to complete this and get healing from the trauma that we have gone through. Every single person on this planet has gone through some form of trauma. Even people who have never felt like they've gone through some trauma have gone through trauma, particularly if you were young. If you saw something jarring or shocking, that's a trauma. Trauma can be very little. Trauma can be a lot. Trauma is a very, it's a large spectrum of things that can happen to you, but all of them can leave a permanent and lasting effect if you do not go back and do trauma therapy and trauma work, and you understand why it happened. And I never understood why my mom truly was so abusive. My mom was, on one hand, one of the most dynamic, beautiful, charming, talented, intelligent, the list goes on and on. But the older she got, and the less, because she never understood that she didn't love herself, because my grandmother never really instilled in her that she loved her, and never taught her how to love herself. So if you take someone who doesn't know how to love themselves and really doesn't know how to love another person well, because they never, again, even learned that, and then you put them in marriages, they fail. You give them children, those children will be greatly affected. That is what's going on. It's not that my mom was evil. It's, from my vantage point, there's not an evil person on the planet. And I know there's a lot of Christians out there that really believe still in a very, very black and white concept of good and evil. And I am somebody who still very much loves our Savior and our God. I'm very in tune with our God, but I do not believe that there is this thing as good and evil, the way that we like to cherry pick certain verses, particularly out of the Old Testament, and try and say like, oh, these people are evil. No, they're not. They're wrong. They're lost. They need help. And my mom, she needed help. She needed help, and she never got the help, and it just got worse and worse. And so, you know, there was a lot. It was a really gnarly childhood, and one that I didn't even understand was so gnarly, because when you're experiencing it, it seems pretty normal. You kind of becomes normal. Yeah, and you assume that other kids are going through the same kind of stuff. So, at any rate, that happened. Plus, my dad, who ultimately I don't think ever really learned how to love himself, he was not capable of handling the ferocity of an unwell Susie, my mom. He got super shut down, became a shell of a human being, in my humble opinion. And they got divorced, and then he kind of abdicated his responsibilities for me and my sisters, thinking it was doing everyone a favor, which I don't think it was ultimately, because then we didn't have a father figure, and that affects your kids, your son and both your daughters. And then we got a stepfather who also didn't know how to love himself, because he grew up in a very tyrannical environment that made him a very hyper intellectual, like super intelligent being, but also lacking a tremendous amount of sympathy and empathy and patience and kindness and softness and grace, because all he saw was the ones and zeros, the binary of life. It was very black and white, and like, you're not doing it perfectly, so if it's not perfectly, it must be a failure. That's what I was instilled with, which is why ultimately I think I have excelled in certain areas of my life. God uses those things in our lives. If we allow ourselves to see the also brokenness of ourselves, we can see how God then uses something in what breaks us to also make us incredibly strong. And him having such high thresholds of what was funny, for example, like I had I had really stringent audiences as a child. I didn't get a lot of just sympathy laughs. First of all, my mom had no sense of humor, so she would have laughed at anything and nothing. It didn't matter. My stepfather had a sense of humor, but he was so harsh with it. He was because he was so smart that I mean, the first time I ever made him laugh was like, oh my God, I can't even believe this. And then, you know, and I was always sitting there, like, I didn't really have parents. So my parents were my television shows and movies and video games, which is how I learned from all the greats. I would watch stand-up comedy. I mean, I've told you some of my stand-up comedy watching stories, which are quite embarrassing.
But funny, you've always made them funny. And throughout this, and I'm assuming not feeling protected as a child and growing up and having the ramifications of all of this stuff that has happened to you, you decided to seek therapy, because a lot of people feel like, you know, I you know, why bring up old wounds? I've healed. Therapy, I have an online therapy appointment every Friday.
Yeah.
what did seeking therapy do for you, Zach?
Well, first, let me just clarify that it wasn't as simple as me having an aha moment and saying, you know what, I need to go to therapy. I wish that I was in tune enough with myself and with the concept of therapy at that point, or those points in my life, where it would have been a far more like voluntary, open, like I can't wait to do this thing.
Right.
But our problem as a whole, as a society as a whole, as you know, and as I know, and as more people are coming to understand, is that we have stigmatized mental health for so long that nobody's even really willing to acknowledge to themselves that they are struggling with their mental health. You don't want to be seen as or termed crazy or out of touch or whatever. But guess what? This is the beautiful thing about it. We're all a little fucking crazy. We're all a little fucking broken. We're all a little fucking lost. None of us has all the answers. And therapy is a beautiful way to have a third party who, by the way, a therapist doesn't have all the answers either, but it's a third party who can, hopefully, if you can find a good one, and there are many, many good ones out there that understand, and they could be objective and mirror back to you, where you don't feel like someone is judging you based on what you are telling them. They're just being forced feedback of saying, you say all these things, and you go, what I'm hearing you say are these things. And you go, oh shit, I am saying those things. Why am I saying those things? Where is that rooted? And there's so many different ways you can go through therapy. You know, cognitive behavioral therapy and hypnotherapy and psychotherapy and psychiatry and all of these things. And by the way, how our bodies work are literally how much we work out and how well we eat is directly connected to our mental and emotional well-being. You know, all of these things need to be talked about. They're infinitely important, but I didn't really understand that at the time. And our egos, unfortunately, are one of the biggest things that stand between us and us getting help, because our egos first have to admit that they're not working properly, and none of our egos wants to admit that. It's literally a survival mechanism. So you got to get through that. And I, like most people, maybe not most people, but I had to hit like rock bottom. I had to have moved out to Texas and quite literally not want to live anymore. And I was so low. I was so I didn't want to, like, legitimately, I couldn't find a reason to live. And fortunately, I had people around me, like my sister Shekinah, who is a rock star and you've known her whole life basically, and was my assistant for so many years, but wasn't when I moved out here because she was a mom and a wife now. And she,
Zach, you take a breath, breathe.
No, no, I got to finish the story. But Shekinah and many other people in that moment held me enough and encouraged me enough. And I was broken enough to finally go, if this will finally be a thing that will finally help me. And I didn't even know I needed the help. You know what I mean? Again, it's like you think your problem is outside of you.
Yeah.
And very rarely actually is the problem outside of you. Almost always is the problem inside of you. And the most enlightened people in the world throughout history would even agree that, including so many of the most like groovy, spirit-filled people of the past who were in prison. And I mean, look at like Nelson Mandela. Like, how can he could come to peace in the place where his absolute problem was outside of him. It was the walls he was confined in, and he was still finding peace, like Peter did, like Paul did. Like, you know, there's incredible stuff in all that. So anyway.
Well, I like, you know, and speaking of Nelson Mandela, and you came to that place, you seem like you've come to a place of peace that you're okay with. It's always
for the most part, I'm still very much,
I mean, we're always a work in progress.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah. When we're at perfection, we're somewhere near God.
Yeah.
But it's always it's finding that place of peace, of having a certain amount of contentment. What would you say kind of succinctly to someone who's maybe there, especially in isolation right now? It's hitting a lot of people because typically the coping mechanisms that we would be using, we can't. And so a lot of people are just sitting here. Is there something?
Yeah. Well,
and you're not perfect. I'm not trying to put all that on you.
Oh, no. Darling, I don't think you're doing that at all. Don't worry.
Okay.
And again, this is stuff I've been talking about on my lives because this is what we need to be talking about. Mental health is already, I think, the most important thing we need to be talking about. And right now, unfortunately, because of how everyone's being stuck, I mean, look, in some ways, I think this is going to be helpful for some people because people who have been moving too fast, and that's really everyone. Like, God is, the universe is
Yeah.
literally saying, hey, guess what? Everyone who's been moving way faster, which is where all of our anxiety comes from, where all of our stress comes from, because we all feel like we need to survive. Money equals survival. We have got to stop equating that in our mind, because our fight or flight reflex, our fight, flight, or freeze, which is essentially like, you know, if a deer sees a lion or a gazelle sees a lion, right? It goes into hyperdrive,
Right.
and it's running its ass off across the Serengeti until it sees no lion, and then it pants for a little while, and then you know what it does? It goes back to what it used to be doing, which was trusting God. All of the animals already trust God all the time. That's why we look at them and go, yo, you're kind of dumb because you're just sitting there eating grass. It's like, no, they're totally cool. They've been doing this for a really long time. They are completely at peace. They are doing exactly what they were programmed to do, which is be totally activating their parasympathetic nervous system, which is what we all need to be activating more. Your parasympathetic nervous system is what monks tap into when they meditate. Meditation is a hugely important thing right now for all walks of life. Meditation is not a one spiritual walk or another. Christians and Buddhists and Muslims and Jews and all across,
everybody.
Meditation is quieting yourself and literally trying to find a natural rhythm with your breath. I mean, this is one form of meditation, but a very commonly practiced one, mindfulness meditation, and literally just sit. We have all the time in the world right now. I mean, let me rephrase that. Some people don't have all the time in the world right now. They are the heroes on the front lines, like all of our medical personnel and everyone else who's still working during this time and keeping what little economy we have going afloat. So for all of you out there, you're still going, and I know that this doesn't necessarily apply to you, but for anyone who is finding themselves in a moment right now where they're not having to teach or handle their kids all day long, if you're sitting in your apartment by yourself or with a spouse or whatever that is, something that you can manage and it's really just you and your time, 20 minutes a day, if you can build up to it.
Wait a minute, 20, did you say 20 minutes?
20 minutes a day. And if you can sit, I know, but this is exactly right. All of us go, there's no way. And there's a reason why we say that. It's because in our society, what we've built up to is a speed at which we're not meant to be operating. That's why our brains are so tweaked out. That's why I think we have so much anxiety and stress and depression and fears, because we are literally, I'm not even kidding, most of the time we are in that gazelle fight, flight, or freeze mode.
Right.
Most of the time, even though we don't recognize it subtly and subconsciously, we are running away from the lions of life, which is debt and not having enough money and not being able to put clothes on our back or food in our stomachs or our kids' stomachs or a roof over our head. We are always on that loop in our minds trying to make it in this world.
And you're saying even by meditating, it forces us to just be still.
Yes. And through that, I believe you can multiply and magnify peace, calm, trust, acceptance, and gratitude. All of these things start to become stronger and more and flourish more in your life, because I genuinely believe you are getting back into the rhythm that is the world, that is nature, that is God in and through all of it, and which is a far more natural state for us. We used to live in a much more natural state. We are animals. We are 100% animals, and we're incredible animals. We somehow along the way figured out, through God's abundance and provision or whatever, and through the literal earth that he put us in, how to start asking questions like why. And when we are able to now do that, that's when all of a sudden we say, well, why do we just find wild berries instead? Why don't we grow them? Why do we go try and find these wild chickens instead? Why don't we domesticate them and we can have eggs whenever we want? And we've built all of these incredible things, and with that, all the trappings and the responsibilities that our simple, more naturally resting being is. It's like we're in hyperdrive. So to calm ourselves and to breathe with God, breathe and just focus on your breath. That is a very helpful technique. I mean, quite literally. And what I try to do if I'm having a particularly difficult moment is I'll have mantras. And some of those mantras are, I am loved. I am worthy of that love. I am exactly where I am meant to be.
That's nice. Just say those.
Yes, and I will say that over and over to myself while I breathe deeply. I am loved. I am worthy of that love. I am exactly where I'm meant to be. Because when we start spiraling, I think, when we feel like life doesn't have a reason or a purpose or a future, things of that nature. So we have to remind ourselves in all of this spinning out that you absolutely have a purpose. There is a value, an inherent, infinite value in you. I often say we are both infinitely valuable and entirely unimportant, because God has given us an infinite amount of value, but also doesn't need any of us. We could come and go, and God and the universe and the rest of everything is still gonna go, because we are all, as infinitely valuable as we are the most infinitesimal speck of sand in an infinitesimally large mosaic made of infinitesimal bits of sand. We're all a part of the mosaic. It's it's the most insane creation. It is this. It's all of reality and everything that comes with it. But and we're all a part of it, but we should just go for the ride and trust that even in the midst of a crazy pandemic and the fear and all the things that can grip us right now, we have to trust that on the other side of this, we will be okay. This world will be okay. And in fact, I honestly, deep down in me, I believe that there are silver lining after silver lining that we will find still amongst the sadness. It's not like there's not going to be sadness. And there are already many people who have lost their lives, and that is tragic. But we also have to just try and use a little perspective and context. We have had pandemics before and lost far more people and knew far less about how these things work. So we are in a better state now than we were then. Our economy is going to get really jacked up for a minute, and we got to learn from that. We got to figure out how our economy can exist and still work through things like pandemics, however those protocols need to come into place. But on the other side, we will be okay. Our families will be okay. One way or another, we are going to find, I think, a better world on the other side of this. I do think.
Zach, you gave such nuggets. What I'm taking from you is I need to increase my medication, not my medication.
See, she just waiting for the joke. She just
meditation. That's what I am, my medication. But the meditation, because I don't do it for that long. Yes. One of the things that I do as well, because one time, literally, fear was just like kicking the door, and it was gripping me so hard because I'm a single mom, and this boy is dependent on me, and it just hit me like if something happened to me, I couldn't even breathe. It was everything, and it was just like it was a voice saying, "Be still and know that I am God." Mm-hmm. And I had to say that to myself, and I had to keep saying it over until my breath calmed down. But one of the things I started doing was making kind of an action plan of, in this 30 or 60 days, I'm going to take it for 30 days. What do I want to accomplish here? What am I supposed to be doing? How can I step out of my comfort zone? Yeah. That's where this idea for a very Sherri conversation came, because I wanted to connect with my friends, but be able to connect with a lot more people. And so I was writing down, and I said to Jeffrey, what do we want to accomplish as mother and son? And it really, and so in doing that, even with everything going on, it gave me something to focus my mind on. Yeah. Of what do I want to, I'm taking Spanish online. I've connected with more girlfriends, and we're creating. So that has helped me. And
that's silver lining that's some of the silver lining stuff I'm talking about. I mean, we all wish we had more time. Well, now we have it. Now, oh my God. We have it. Again, not everyone, but a lot of us have it. And I think that, look, for me, and different people operate in different ways. Most of my anxiety comes from things that are within my control. If I feel like I'm failing something, that I shoulda, woulda, coulda something, whatever. If something happens that's outside of my control, I have a much easier time being like, well, I can't do anything about it anyway. So I have to just accept where I am right now. It's easier for me to do. I know that's not easy for everyone, but if you can get to that, then hopefully you can look at now this time that would otherwise be swamped with other things, all manner of other things, and you can learn Spanish, or you can learn an instrument, or you can learn how to fucking tap dance, or you can spend more time catching up with your friends and family. How amazing is it that we live in a time and a day and age when we have FaceTime and we have Instagram Live and we have online gaming and movies? Like, what the hell? Could you imagine having to do this when our ancestors were doing the Spanish flu? They're dying left and right, having no real information, by the way. Science wasn't telling them a lot at that point. Certainly nobody was saying, like, hey, it's coming your way. Like, I don't know, people mysteriously dying in another country, and then we started mysteriously dying. Like, and they were quarantined in their homes, and they were just stuck with each other and, like, wood toys. Like, what are we even talking about?
I know.
You know, so there's so much to even just be grateful for in all of that. But also, like, look at how many people, look at the education system. Look at how many teachers were feeling very deservedly so, feeling quite
overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed and overlooked. And now all of the parents have a great look at what it means to manage your child, not even everybody else's child, just your child all day long. And I think, and it's going to build, as a friend of mine also pointed out, I think this is hopefully going to build empathy for women who have chosen, because they want to be homemakers, to be stay-at-home moms. Anybody who's now staying at home right now, husbands that are staying at home for the first time, and maybe their wife's doing something else, and they're like, holy shit, this is what you got to deal with every single day. Like, look at all of the people, look at all the kids who hated going to school and now are dying to go to school. Look at all the people who hated their jobs and now are dying to go to their shitty job because they don't want to be stuck in their apartment. They would rather be at their shit job than be stuck at home all day. Like,
Zachary Levi!
If this isn't God being like, you know what, y'all need to learn a lot of things. One of them is an incredible amount of humility. A tremendous amount of humility, a tremendous amount of gratitude, and a tremendous amount of understanding that you are all in this shit together, and stop fucking around. Because I'm serious. If this isn't God saying, hey, China and America and Russia and South America and everywhere else in the world, guess what? You're all the same people. You all die from the same viruses. Stop it. Work together. Love each other. This is the message that I've been trying to preach to you as these weird sapient primates for thousands of years. Love yourself and love each other. That's the message. That's it. We know this. Let's do it.
Zachary Levi, this is why I have loved you for so many years, because you just preached a message right here. And we don't even have a lot of time. So there's some quick stuff I want to ask you.
Let's go. I got time. I got extra time. You got extra time. That's fine.
No, it cuts you off after an hour. IG when we talk too long.
Oh, we already had an hour? Oh, we are. We're like 15 minutes away from an hour.
We're like, and it's okay, but I just want to say thank you, because people needed that. Like, I had a sheet of questions, but people needed what you were saying, because there's a lot of people hurting and they're confused. And don't you say anything, because we're gonna be talking. But I want to thank you for giving of yourself and being vulnerable and transparent.
I love doing it. I'm happy to do it.
I know you do,
it's honestly, it makes me feel so good inside to feel like, you know what it feels like to feel like God's using you, to puppet you, to that you can be an instrument to go love people. It literally makes me cry. I love it so much.
And I know you do. And I know your passion and your heart, and I know your love. I know the way you love. That's just what, if I had to describe Zach, I go, he's just love. Because I love you. Now don't go. I want to ask you.
I'm not going
to. I'm a fan of some stuff, Nate. Shazam. You did Shazam. I'm a fan of the marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Oh yeah, well, you should be. It's fantastic.
It's the most yummiest
I just
writing.
had a Zoom call with the whole cast. We all got together and all talked. It was so
my
awesome.
gosh. Like, the writing is so fast paced and yummy and delicious and layered. And you play Dr. Benjamin, and I don't like it mid dropped you. Like, you got rejected. I was like, what? You said to her mom, you was like, she was right for me, but I wasn't right for her. I was like, no. Are you coming back?
I don't know.
Who we got to write? Because you've got to come back to Mrs. Maisel.
Well, look. Well, first of all, they know 100. I love that entire group of people. I'm so grateful that I was chosen to kind of just slip into their jet stream. Like, they were already such an epic and an incredibly well-made show. I mean, just delightful from soup to nuts.
Yes.
And to be able to step into that favor. I mean, there was favor upon that show. You know what I mean? So to step into that already existing in our industry, to have that favor, and they wrote me such a meaty, awesome role, and I loved it so much. But and I know, and look, and if they ever at any point, if Amy Sherman Palladino and Dan Palladino ever knock on my door for any reason, I am 100% with them. The character of Benjamin, the show is not about her finding love. The show is about her choosing her career over even happiness.
Yeah, she said, I'm going to be lonely.
Love over, exactly. So that's what they're trying to illustrate with the show. I was a method to do that, you know. Benjamin was being able to take a character that's on paper, all the things. It was like, you know, it all worked. It was that perfect deal, but it still wasn't enough to get her to settle down. And that's important. That's an important part of the story. So I don't know. If I do come back, it might be in some way that, you know, it's a will they, won't they, and we'll split off again or something. I don't know. But I would love to. I love that show.
I'm writing to the production company. Now, we don't have much time. And I want to ask you this because you have the most amazing voice. God gifted you with these chords. I wish God would have gifted me with the voice. That he said you don't need to sing, because if I let you sing, I think God said if I let you sing, you're gonna be out of control. I'm not gonna be able to handle you. So I was on The Masked Singer and I got voted off. I karaoke. You sing. I want you to give me something, your favorite song that you sing to make yourself feel better, make people feel better. Just give me something that's gonna make my heart jump.
Let me just go to my thought real quick. What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Boom, 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 boom. Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song. I will try not to sing out of key. Oh, baby, I get by with a little help from my friends. Oh, I get high with a little help from my friends. Oh, baby, I'm gonna die with a little help from my friends. Oh, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah.
Zachary Levi.
What?
Can I tell you, you make me tear up. I love you so much, Zachary Levi. I'm so blessed to have you in my life. You are an incredible friend. And
Ditto.
Thank you.
Ditto. Love you. Love you. Always. Always and forever. No matter how much time goes by, no matter how much distance ever separates us, I will always love you forever. You are, I told you this on the call earlier today, you will be forever marked and ingrained and a part of my journey as a human being. You were there and very important. I mean, again, going back to like my mom, like you understood. And that's why Andrea Parker became like my sister. Our Kip and Lydia relationship on that show, a lot of so far beyond, you know, just two actors having a good time and mucking it up. She stepped in and was like a mom to me when my mom was quite literally losing her mind. And the love that, you know, when I was crying my eyes out in my dressing room before we had to go down and do like a network run through or a show, we're supposed to go down and yuck it up and make people laugh. And I'm devastated because my mom is just saying the most ridiculous, horrible things about me. And you guys, all of you at different points, every single one of you at different points were a shoulder to cry on at least one point, and were mentors to me in so many ways. I was the youngest person on that show. I was 21 when we started doing that show. I was a baby. Sarah was 24 or 5. I mean, she was a few years older than me, but you know, it wasn't like I wasn't like on another teen drama like all my other friends. I was on a show with a bunch of adults, and I'm like, I'm a wacky Dick Van Dyke guy. Let's go make some people laugh, you know?
Well, I have to say this because they're going to cut us off. Everybody, thank you so much for joining my very shared conversation with my dear friend, Zachary Levi. And he is amazing. What's your Instagram? What's your social media?
All my social is at Zachary Levi.
At Zachary Levi.
Yeah. And I make supplements at Flow Sups, FLOWSUPPS. You should definitely check those out. Those are great.
Oh, I'm gonna get that.
Yeah, you should definitely do that.
Flow Sups.
Flow Sups.
So
yeah. We'll send you some. We'll send you some.
All right. Well, I want the people to make some.
You can use pimp it out on your Instagram. You can be like, oh,
I will do that. You know, I will. I love you so much. We're gonna get cut off. Zachary, you are just like the love of my life, and I thank you so much.
I love you, and please give Jeffrey my love once he comes out of the bathroom.
Zach said he loves you, Jeffrey. We can go to Austin and live with him.
One day, babe. Don't tell me now. Don't tell me now. One day. Mwah. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Okay, I don't know how to end it. All right, we're gonna get cut off, everybody. I am so sorry that I didn't get to ask the questions that you wanted. Zach, really, you just gotta pray and go, God, what do you want to do with this conversation? That was my prayer. And it really led into mental health and dealing with that and Zach's journey. And so I just kind of threw my questions away because he needed to speak. And so I hope that you got something from it and you were touched in that song. Oh my goodness. So we are going to end this because